Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy D Wayne bring you yet another YouTube video at this time. So we are going to be talking Tenpai Dragons in this discussion today, as they got two new support cards, one monster and one trap. So Tenpai Dragons have been all the rage lately. They've been doing really well in the LCG. In my initial assessment of them, I spoke of how they were a fun deck, but didn't think they were going to be, meta relevant. And I turned out to be very much wrong about that, and I'm not sure if I'm glad or am I angry about that, but regardless, I was wrong about the situation. Regardless, me myself, I'm still going to be playing the deck when it comes to the TCG. Alright, so with that said, let's go ahead and get into the two new cards. So firstly, we got Tenpai Dragon Genroku. Now this is a level 3 Fire Dragon, 0 attack, 1000 defense. Its effect reads, if this card is added to your hand, except by drawing it, you can special summon it as a tuner, then you can increase this card by 1. Quick effect. You contribute this card to special summon one Tenpai Dragon monster from your deck, except another copy of itself. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn, except Dragon monsters. You can only use each effect of Tenpai Dragon Genraku once per turn. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about it. So, the first effect, if it's added to your hand, you can special summon it as a tuner. So there are three particular ways that you can add this card to your hand to trigger its first effect. You can do it through the fill spell card that adds a level 4 lower dragon monster from your Tenpai dragon monster from your deck to your hand and then discard one card. You can also add it to your hand through Saman Kaiman's effect, which adds a level 4 or lower fire dragon monster from your deck to your hand. And if Gunraku is in the graveyard, you can add it from your graveyard to your hand with a card like Oil, which adds two level 4 or lower fire monsters with different names from your graveyard to your hand. So we have multiple different ways of getting this card to our hand, either from the deck or from the graveyard, which is solid. The second effect, you can tribute this card and special summon one Tenpai Dragon monster from your deck. Of course, this is like a lone fire blossom for the Tenpai dragons in general. So essentially, it's a one card starter in and of itself, as it's essentially more copies of Tenpai Dragon by Dora, so you can go into your plays. So essentially, you run, at least at the what I'm running here is two copies. Is essentially 5 copies of Tenpai Dragon by Dora, so that it can get you into your plays. All right, so overall, card is really solid. Adds a lot of consistency to the deck, and just pretty stable card overall. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the trap, which is Sengen Kaihu. It's a normal trap that reads during your main phase. If all monsters you control are fire dragon monsters, minimum one, and your opponent controls more monsters than you do, end this main phase. And if 3 or more attacks have been declared this turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard to draw one card. Then you can special summon any number of Tenpai Dragon monsters from your hand. You can only use each effect of Sengen Kaihu once per turn. So the first effect is really solid, but they tacked on a lot of tacked on 2 restrictions that I honestly didn't feel were necessary for it. But I can sort of understand it because it's essentially is ending a phase of the game, so I guess they had to tack on some restrictions. I guess in order to balance out the card, because if it just ended the main phase immediately, it would probably be too. It would be considered too strong. But otherwise, it's mainly used. Obviously, you wouldn't use this on your turn. You would use this during your opponent's turn when your opponent is attempting to set up for the turn, and if they end up controlling, if you have 1 or 2 monsters and your opponent has 3 or more, you can activate this and forces them into their battle phase. So they aren't allowed to do any more setups after this card is activated. And of course, that sort of alleviates the deck's weakness, as it's very, like I said in my initial discussion, as this deck is very weak during the opponent's main phase. So this says the opponent cannot do much more after they control more monsters than you do. So it helps alleviate to an extent what the deck's that part of the weakness was. All right. So as far as the second effect, uh, oh, if three attacks are declared, you can banish this card to draw one. Then you can special summon any number of Tenpai Dragon monsters from your hand. I would probably say that part of the effect, at least the first part of the effect, is sort of win more. Because if you're attacking three times in one turn, you're already winning. So I don't believe it's all that necessary, but it's good to get the draw from that because added advantage. And you can special summon any number of Tenpai Dragon monsters from your hand. Once again, if you are attacking more than three times, you're already winning. So that part of the effect is only minus the drawing is essentially a win more. It's not entirely necessary unless you're on the back foot playing defense. That's the only way I could see it making any sort of practical sense is if you're on the back foot playing defense. All right, overall thoughts on both cards. I like the monster because it adds an extra layer of depth to the deck with both effects, one being a lone fire and one when it's added to its hand can special summon itself, which gets you some more consistent bodies on board because the deck needs it if you want to synchro summon effectively. The second effect to attribute itself, it could apply to any different for myriads of situations. Like it's good at obviously as a starter, but if you're in the later stages of the game, you may use this to summon something else. Like maybe you may need a tuner, or you may need the fedora so that you can get something else out of the graveyard. It has a variety of effects and can help the deck in a variety of different ways. All right, so solid stuff overall. I've really taken some time to play test. It seems pretty good. So I'll be probably be having some more replays. I'm definitely gonna be doing some more play testing and playing some duels and stuff. All right, so those are my thoughts overall, and I will leave that at that. So I'll be bringing you guys more videos in the meantime. But until then, peace. Ute.